Hello students, welcome back. Today we're going to be creating a cardboard sculpture of your favorite dessert. Think about it. What do you like? Rainbow cake, cheesecake, cherry pie? What is your favorite dessert? And that's what we're going to create. Here are some of the materials that you will need. You may pause this video to see all the materials. You also will need tape. For this piece of cake, I'm going to use a cardboard from our frozen food. And I'm going to cut the 2-inch strip and save them for later. Once I cut those two, I'm going to be left with the 2 large pieces and you're going to stack them together. Now put those 2 aside and stack the 2 large pieces together. So you could draw a triangle and you're going to cut them at the same time. You stack them one facing up and the other one facing down. You're going to draw a triangle for your piece of cake and you're going to cut them together. Make sure that you cut them with the 2 edges attached, so those 2 edges will be part of the back of the cake. Okay, now you're going to stack them together and you're going to tape them together. Right, any kind of tape that you have, you're going to tape them together, the front and the back. That way it's secure. Make sure that you trim the extra tape, if there's any. Now you're going to flip it over and tape this side too, to make sure it's secure. Now we're going to do the side of the cake. Remember the 2 long strip? Well, get one and tape it in one of the corners of your cake. And now we're going to bend it around our triangle to close our triangle. Making sure you know where the tip of the triangle is, so you mark it, so you bend your cardboard there. Now to make our 3D triangle, we need to close our sides. So I'm using one of the long strips that I cut earlier from our cardboard, and we're going to tape the edges off, making sure that your triangle looks like a 3-dimensional object. We're going to continue taping the side of the triangle. Just make sure that your tip of the triangle is nice and pointy, so it could look like a 3-dimensional form. Right? And you do that by bending and creasing your cardboard nicely. Now that I crease all my cardboard, I'm going to tape the other side. So I get a piece of tape, put it on the table where you're working, place it on the bottom, then get your form of the triangle or whatever form you got, put it on top, and then you place your edge on top of the tape, making sure it's taped together, and then you finish taping both sides together so it could be nicely done. If your edges were not closed all the way because the cardboard was not long enough, you just need to get another strip of cardboard like I'm doing here and put it on top and tape it just like the other one, making sure that you tape both pieces together and that there is no holes or any seam left open. Make sure that all the corners are tucked inside the cardboard so your form looks nice and neat. Tape the inside if you need to secure it. Now that you are done with the bottom, you're going to close the top, following the same step, using tape and closing one side first and then taping the other side. Making sure that whatever form for your piece of cake, if it's a triangle, a circle, square, or a rectangle, is closed nice and neat on all the seam, all the edges of your form. I am done with my triangle, which will be my cake. Make sure I close the top just to make sure that my triangle is completed. Now that my triangle is done, I am going to cover it using glue and white paper to cover my whole triangle. I like to do 2 sides at a time. I'm going to place the paper on top, and then I'm going to rub around, making sure that it's glued nicely. I'll do the same thing on the following side, making sure that my triangle is nice and glued and covered in white. Make sure I make creases for my corners, and then I'm going to cut them with the scissors so I could be able to wrap them nicely. Continue wrapping all the edges of your triangle, making sure that all the corners are nicely creased. You could use the scissors to cut the crease to make a nice fold in your cardboard. Again, put some glue, spread it over, and continue wrapping your form. Sometimes you're going to overlap some paper, that is okay. I'm using my finger to spread the glue to go faster. And again, if you need to cut any extra paper, you could do so. But make sure that you crease your paper and then you cut using a scissor to make sure that you have a nice clean lines. Here I'm gluing this other side, the back of the cake. It's like wrapping a gift, but you're using glue instead. It's like you're making paper mache. Again, fold the creases, use the glue, and cut on the line to make sure the lines are nicely done. I'm going to continue gluing all my sides of my triangle. Just make sure that your triangle's corners are nice and smooth. All the edges are nice and smooth, so it's easier for you to draw later. Right now I'm doing my corners that are nice and smooth. And any extra paper, you could cut it out. And then glue down the edges. So here I'm almost done. Once you're done, you are gluing the edges. If you have anything that has to be covered, just get an extra piece of paper and put it on top. And my triangle is all covered in white paper. Now, if you're doing a pie, then you need to do a crust and you need to put a layer of toilet paper on top to make the crust. Here's my triangle, and this will go for a pie or for a piece of cake. You need the frosting and you need the crust. So to do a crust, just wear some toilet paper, and then you do the edges, pinching the edges for the top. That will be for a pie. The same will go for a piece of cake. You do one piece of frosting in the bottom and one on top to make it look more realistic. Here I'm going to put a layer of toilet paper to make the frosting. And you don't need a lot of toilet paper. You only need like 5 sheets of toilet paper. So please do not waste the toilet paper. You're going to put a thin layer of glue, and then you're going take one layer of toilet paper and put it on top nicely so it could look like frosting. And spread it all over so it could cover the whole top of the triangle. That will be your frosting on top. Remember, you only need frosting on the top and the back of the cake. Just a little bit. If you want more, then you add some more. I try not to waste a lot of toilet paper because these days toilet paper is very valuable. So finish adding your frosting. I'm going to continue adding the frosting to my cake. Remember, you will decide how much frosting you want. Okay, so you will stop once you're done adding your desired frosting. Here I'm adding my final details to my cake. Any holes that has to be covered, any frosting that I have to add so it could look more realistic. And remember, just use your finger to fill in any spot that you had to fill in. I made sure they have a lot of frosting so it could look realistic. Make sure that you put the top frosting on the side frosting. Now you're going to color. I am doing a limoncello cake with raspberry filling. It was one of my favorite cake, and it's a yellow cake with this reddish raspberry filling. So I'm coloring my limoncello part, and after I'm done coloring using my crayon, I'm going to color in my raspberry filling. And here is my final cake. Enjoy.